In the fourth quarter of 2022, Samsung lost its #1 position to Apple in the smartphone market. However, the company reclaimed the smartphone sales crown from Apple in the first quarter of 2023. While the company had its worst quarter in 14 years, largely due to a slump in the semiconductor chip market, the company has some good news about its smartphone business. What's happening there, guys, and welcome back to another video on our channel. Today, we're going to show you how Samsung is worth more money than Apple in 2023. So stay tuned till the end and let's get into this right now. The state of the smartphone market was very poor in the first quarter of 2023, with every manufacturer witnessing a decline in sales except for Samsung, according to a new report from market intelligence firm TrendForce. Buoyed by strong iPhone 14 sales, Apple became the top seller in the last quarter of 2022, even though Samsung shipped the most units during the year. As was expected, Samsung outperformed Apple in the first quarter of 2023, and that too by a wider margin than was predicted. Samsung's first quarter sales were boosted by the then newly released Galaxy S23 series. The company sold 61.5 million units in the January quarter, an increase of 5.5% over the previous quarter, whereas Apple saw its sales tumble 27.5% to 53.3 million units from the year-ago quarter. The iPhone 14 family made up 78% of that number. Before we go any further, if you're enjoying this video, do be sure to share your love and support by giving it a big thumbs up and subscribe to our channel. Also, don't forget to hit that notification bell to stay updated of our future uploads. And now, without any further ado, let's get back to our video. The Samsung Galaxy S23 is an extremely capable smartphone, and with it comes the inevitable comparison between Samsung's new 2023 handset and the now established iPhone 14 that Apple launched last fall. Simply put, they're two of the best phones available today. But unlike Apple, which generally reserves its best displays for its Pro models, Samsung puts its leading-edge AMOLED technology into its entire lineup. That means that while the iPhone 14 display lags behind the more expensive iPhone 14 Pro, Samsung's Galaxy S23 has the same gorgeous screen technology as the premium Galaxy S23 Ultra. While it's a bit smaller, the Galaxy S23 is still a 6.1-inch AMOLED 2X Infinity O with FHD Plus resolution and a density of 425 pixels per inch. While that's roughly on par with the 6.1-inch OLED display in the iPhone 14 in terms of raw resolution, the Galaxy S23 display pulls well ahead by offering an adaptive 120Hz refresh rate, 1,750 nits of peak outdoor brightness, and always-on technology, all things that Apple only provides on its pricier iPhone 14 Pro. Moreover, the display on the iPhone 14 is barely an upgrade from its 2021 predecessor. It still only runs at a fixed 60 Hz and hits 800 nits to 1200 nits of peak brightness, depending on whether you're using HDR or not. There's also no always-on technology here. While it's still a solid OLED display, it doesn't hold a candle to what the Galaxy S23 offers you for basically the same price. Nevertheless, when it comes to the performance, it's hard to get a true measure, since not only is the hardcore fundamentally different, but they also use entirely different operating systems. As with nearly every iPhone ever released, the iPhone 14 uses Apple's own custom-made silicon, while Samsung uses a mostly off-the-shelf Qualcomm Snapdragon chip for the Galaxy S23. However, a couple of interesting things have happened this year that should put the Galaxy S23 well ahead of the phone from Apple. First of all, Apple has given itself a competitive disadvantage by using the older A15 chip in the iPhone 14, setting it even further apart from the iPhone 14 Pro, which uses the latest A16 Bionic. While the A15 is still a powerful chip, it's hard to imagine it competing with the cutting-edge Snapdragon 8 Gen 2 that Samsung has packed into all of its S23 models. Unlike Apple, Samsung isn't reserving its best chip for the premium Galaxy S23 Ultra. The beast model Galaxy S23 gets the same silicon and therefore the same performance. However, this isn't an off-the-shelf chip. Samsung has partnered with Qualcomm to develop an even more powerful bespoke Snapdragon 8 Gen 2 that the company promises will boost performance by up to 50% over last year's Galaxy S22. Apple's A15 chip handily beat out the Galaxy S22 in performance benchmarks, but that was over a year ago. Samsung has moved on to bigger and better things in the Galaxy S23, while Apple's iPhone 14 is still using the 2021 era silicon. The iPhone 14 remains a stable and reliable smartphone with better battery life, great cameras, and a longer life cycle. These set the iPhone 13 apart from the Galaxy S22 last year, but this time around, the Galaxy S23 pulls ahead, largely because Apple has ceded some of the ground to it. The Galaxy S23 has a brighter and faster 120Hz display and a telephoto camera, both things that Apple customers have to upgrade to the iPhone 14 Pro to get, and this year, it also has a much more modern processor, which, thanks to Apple, is something else that iPhone fans now have to jump up to the Pro for. While the Galaxy S23 isn't a huge upgrade over the Galaxy S22, Samsung has updated the things that matter the most. On the other hand, you'd be hard-pressed to tell the iPhone 14 apart from the iPhone 13 that came before it. That's not a bad thing though. It's still the best iPhone for most folks, and now it has some important new safety features, but it's also starting to feel like it's reached its zenith. So that's all for today's video, and until next time, bye for now.